Good morning, folks. Today I'm going to talk about value-based pricing and how you have to design your positioning, packaging, and pricing together. This is going to be iterative. This is not going to be something that's one and done. And I can tell you that literally yesterday I had a couple of conversations which were around pricing and packaging and positioning. And so this is something that you'll be doing again and again. And so you have to have a good start, but don't assume that whatever you do is perfect. You will continue working towards making it better over time. So pricing is the most important lever for growth for founders, and it's one of the least used lever actually, because founders are afraid of increasing pricing. So when we look at the acquisition versus retention versus monetization, typically founders end up spending a lot of time on acquisition, far less on retention, and even less on monetization. But pricing is far more important for your revenue growth compared to retention or acquisition. Versus every time I ask, what is your problem? Nobody says pricing is my problem. Everybody says, GTM is my problem. But you're afraid of raising prices. So this is the video from Tejas. We work with them to increase their pricing, improve their pricing, and improve their pricing plan. We did this work in 2017 and they changed their pricing. And literally yesterday, I spoke to Tejas and Jimit again, and they are going to improve their pricing once more. So you folks can watch this video. So I'll walk through Social Pilot's pricing page in 2017, where they had a free plan. There's a $4, $9, and a $14 plan. Basic, growth hacker, and business. These were the three things. And if you look at what is the discriminant here, that is what is different in these plans, is primarily 3 connected profiles, 10 profiles, 100 profiles, and 200 profiles. So they were thinking that the primary way in which different people would use the product, more of the product, primary way would be how many profiles they would connect to the product. Since it's a social media scheduling tool, essentially they felt that the value would come from more profiles. But if you look at the proportion, 10 profiles is $5 a month, $4.99. 200 profiles is $15. So that's 20x more, but the price is only 3 times more. And we had to force them to change this price in 2017, I think, when we started working with them, where we asked them to basically double the pricing. And that's when their growth kicked off again, because until then, the growth was not there. But if you look at the pricing page in 2023, they have a very, very different pricing page right now. And the number one thing that you'll notice is they're targeting agencies much more than small teams and professionals. So here they were targeting growth hackers. Here they're targeting agencies. And if you look at the pricing now, it's gone from a maximum of $30 a month to $170 a month. That's 6x kind of an increase. But the minimum plan, there's no free plan anymore. The minimum plan was $10 a month, and that's become $25.50 a month. And that's for professionals. So if you look at the messaging, the professional here was growth hacker equivalent from a ICP perspective. But the professional here in the earlier 2017 plan was 100 connected profiles. Here, the professional is only 10 connected profiles. So for 10 connected profiles, they've gone from $10 a month to $25 a month with only one user. Here you could have many more users as well, but here you have only one user for the professional plan. And the small team plan has 3 users and 20 social media accounts. If you notice, there was nothing in that level at all here. So that has become $42.50. And the agency plan also, where here they were basically giving a $30 plan with 200 profiles. Here the agency plan, which is $85 a month, is only 30 social media accounts and 6 users. So if you see the ratio of users to social media accounts, it's high in professional, but gets lower as we go along. You have only 5 social media accounts per user in a social media agency. And then the agency plan, the agency plus plan, which is $170, has 50 social media accounts, unlimited users, unlimited clients, white labeling is available. But that starts at a much, much higher price than before. So where $30 a month, they were giving everything. Now $170, they still don't give everything. And, there is more that they are doing to improve this pricing page by ICP, but I want you to remember this because we'll use this example quite a lot. So from a pricing concept, number one, you have to understand that pricing is a number between your cost and your value, and you're competing between, hey, if I have to charge more than this, but my competitors charge this, so I have to charge around that much or less than that. So it's between the cost and the value, and your upper bound is also your competitor's price in some ways. So typically what happens is that many founders, especially developers, start with cost-based pricing. But what we are talking about is, can we get to value-based pricing? What is the value that you're creating for your customer, and can you price based on the value to the customer? The tricky part, of course, is that value resides in the customer sets. So the features are the things that you build, the benefits are what the customer gets in their life, and the value for that benefit is an arbitrary, imaginary number that's in their head. The second critical thing is that you have to price the customer, not the product. This is a hard lesson for people to learn, especially because some of us, India is a socialist country. All Indians are equal, everybody's equal. So how can you have a price that's different for different people is a question that comes. But if any of you have gone to a five-star hotel and ordered an idli, you would be paying a much, much higher price for that idli. Versus, of course, on the street, you can get the same idli for $10. So you have to price the customer, not the product. It might even be the same idli. The batter might be from ID batter, for all you know. So you have to price the customer because the benefit and the value that the customer derives is basis who the customer is and how much value they get, not just based on your product. Okay. So when we look at Pipe Candy as an example, in their pricing page, they have different ICPs and each ICP has a different pricing. And in their prospector segment, the focus, and Pipe Candy is a tool for, let's say, so basically they give Excel sheets. Their prospector segment, the focus was on coverage and less junk. That's the messaging on the pricing page. Now you look at the pricing here, and it's a huge difference. It starts at $1,000 per year and goes up to $25,000 a year. So this is not a small range. This is not 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. This is literally 1,000, 8,500, which is already 9x more, and then 25,000, which is 25x more. So what's happening here? Something to think about for all of you. The second segment that they have is a Firehose segment, which is basically a API kind of a segment. Here, if you see, it starts at $50,000 a year. Okay, so here we have a product which is $1,000 a year to $25,000 a year, and the Firehose segment is at $50,000 a year. That's insane. So if you think about how much value difference there must be for a $1,000 product to a $50,000 product, that is something for you to imagine. Is the product very different? Now, the researcher segment is focused on estimates and projections. So this is a completely different segment as well. And here they're not talking about a product per year. They're saying, hey, we'll give you a report, it's $5,000, or we'll give you custom research, which is $20,000 per report. And so this is completely, again, a different product is what you would imagine, and a different ICP for sure. But here's the fun part. What Pipe Candy actually sells is data sets. They're selling the same thing, which is downloadable Excel sheets of which are reports from 2016. If I told you that the $900 product, the $50,000 product, the $20,000 report are all the same thing, you would not believe me. But believe me, it's the truth. All along, Pipe Candy was just selling data sets. That's unbelievable that they have a pricing here which is between $1,000 a year to $50,000 a year to $20,000 per report, and all of them for Excel sheets. So what you have to understand is that before all of these things, positioning is super critical as well. So what Pipe Candy did was that they became an encyclopedia of e-commerce and D2C brands. So they became a brand encyclopedia. And in this, what is key to think about is what they are trying to get affinity to, which is the brand encyclopedia. So if you look at their positioning axis, one of the axis is of course e-commerce, the other is saying, hey, we're a brand encyclopedia, and they're trying to create a differentiation for themselves in their positioning in the market by calling themselves the brand encyclopedia for e-commerce rather than just being a data provider or an Excel provider. So this is super critical for being able to do the right pricing, because without the right positioning and packaging, you cannot have the right pricing. Fourth is you have to know how much your customers are willing to pay. So you have to understand how your customers make buying decisions. They're trying to get the job done, or is where they start from, and then they go into what category of product should I buy? That'll solve my problem. That'll get this job done. And which one of them will I choose? Now, in any market, there are expensive solutions, there are lower cost solutions, medium price solutions, premium solutions, very innovative solutions, and so on and so forth. But before choosing, that's where they decide, hey, what is my budget for this? How much am I willing to pay for this? Comes into the buying decision. Because when they don't know what product they're going to buy yet, they may not know how much they're ready to spend for this. And there are a bunch of smaller things to keep in mind. Typically, if you want to have a price that is one digit less, that's useful. So a price that is, $9 is better than a price that is $10. A price that is $49 is better than a price that's $50, 99, 249, 299, $900 and $50 or $990, those kind of things. There is something called an anchoring effect. If you read Predictably Irrational, you will get it. Basically, you have a very high priced product, but that price basically creates a impression of much higher value for the lower price products. So as an example, what Social Pilot is doing here in their pricing, revised pricing, is they're anchoring the pricing value at $170 for 50 social media accounts. So then when somebody is looking at the $42 or the $25 accounts, it feels much cheaper. So the upfront price for you might be important from a cash flow perspective, but for many people, they have a sticker shock of, hey, am I paying a lot upfront? So don't try to increase the price too much in the beginning, but try to get more money from them over the lifetime of their engagement with you. So make sure that it's easy for them to try your product and start using it. And if they get engaged, then they pay you more. So your pricing has to reflect that. An important question to ask is whether you even need a pricing page. So if you're selling to mid-market or enterprise, you probably don't want to have a pricing page. You probably want to have different packages. You would have, like a Pipecandie, different packages for different ICPs as well. And that is very important because many times you may be able to sell something for a much, much higher price than you imagine. So iMocha, as an example, has customers who are at $250,000, $150,000. And when they had a pricing page and when they were showing pricing, that became a big problem for them because they could not charge a lot more, even though the customer was getting a lot more value. And pricing is something where you have to schedule small experiments every month. It's not something that you just do once in life and you're done with it. But literally every month you should think about, what have I learned about my ICP? What have I learned about the jobs to be done? What have I learned about the problems that people have? And then work with that to improve your pricing over time. So typical thing that we say is use a 3-tier good, better, best plan for a particular ICP. Pick a competitor so that your price is competitive with that competitor or equal or 10 to 15% less. And just doing these two will make your pricing a lot better than probably what it is today. So if you've done 80 plus conversations, you have your body map and you have a conviction on what your positioning is, that is the access that we showed, pick your ICP sheet, convert it into a quantified ICP. You have to know how much is their willingness to pay. Most of you are not in this situation, but for those of you who are a little ahead from a revenue standpoint, you probably want to create different customer segments based on the willingness to pay, which is based on, of course, the value that they're getting. And the example here is that Pipecandie has the same data, same Excel sheets, but some of people use it for lead gen, some people use it through APIs, and others who are researchers are using it for a completely different custom kind of a purpose. So in each segment, you want to create a value ladder, which is good, better, and best. For that segment, the value metric will be different. So one of the things that happens is that when we try to create a common value metric across segments, we will fail But the moment you have clarity on your segment, then picking the value metric for each segment becomes straightforward. In each segment, create the ladder, create good, better, and best packaging based on that. And so, from a pipe candy perspective, when you take just lead qualification, the qualification type is the value for them. What that means is that somebody who's just doing outreach for selling some marketing software for e-commerce folks, they will buy maybe the cheapest plan. But somebody who's looking at, say, selling logistics and stuff like that to e-commerce companies, they want to know how many parcels are being shipped by the customers, versus the marketing folks don't necessarily want to know that. The first one, the tech package, is where you're selling tech product to companies. The second one is online, where you're selling some online tools to companies. And the third one is called commerce. Why? Because their logistics customers of Pipe Candy think of this segment as commerce. And so for them, when they come here and they look at commerce and they look at what is available within that package, they will buy that package because that's what is of importance to them. So just randomly don't bundle stuff. Understand the customer deeply, understand the job to be done, and package it for each segment. When you're below 500,000 or so, you should not be having multiple segments. When you're below 1 million, it doesn't make sense to have multiple segments. But make sure that even when you're below 1 million, you're thinking about pricing and packaging from a segment perspective. Pay attention to the pricing plan. Your pricing is the most critical thing that will affect your revenue and everything. Look at competitor pricing, but don't get influenced by everything they do, because they also may be running experiments. And if your competitors are small software companies, then they also might be running experiments. So you don't want to be basing your decisions on theirs. And so when you're designing these, also think about the anchor effect and think about how you want to create different plans so that people will buy the plan that you want. So that's it for now. So the task for you is to take your positioning, take your segmentation, take your ICP, take your Wadley map, look at for each segment, what is the ladder of value that is there. Think about who will take your low price plan, who has to take your highest price plan, and use these to create a new pricing model. Thank you.